Now in each of these examples, it should jump out at you as a FOIL problem. So let's go ahead and do it that way. Let's look at FOIL. Our F is a radical times a radical. That's root 35. Our outside is 1 times a radical. So that's root 5. Our inside, now we can look at this as things outside the radical, because outside the radical I have a negative 1. So outside the radical is a negative. But then inside the radical I have root 6 times root 7 is root 42. And then the L part of FOIL, negative times 1 is negative, and then root 6. None of those numbers can be simplified, and so those 4 terms are really our answer to the first part of this example here. So let's move on to the second part of the example. The second problem here. Now we can again look at this as a FOIL problem. For our F in this case, let's multiply the things outside the radical. 7 times 3 is 21. Then we'll multiply the radicals together. Root x times root x would get me root x squared. That's the F part of FOIL. Now let's do the O part of FOIL. Outside the radical, I have a 7 and a negative 1. Don't forget that negative there. That's going to get me negative 7. Inside the radical, I have a root x and a root 5. That's going to get me root 5x. Now we'll move on to the I part of FOIL. Outside the radical, I have a 5 times a 3. That's 15. Inside the radical, I have an x. Now let's try the L part of FOIL. Outside the radical, I have a 5 and a negative 1. That gets me negative 5. Inside the radical, I have a root 5. Now there is one little bit of simplification we can do here, because the square root of x squared is x. Other than that, none of the rest of this simplifies, and we're just going to have all the rest of these terms. And that would be our final answer.